All right. Hello, folks. Welcome to the Jimmy O Show, episode 2. I'm excited. Well, first of all, you're joining me here in my office, but I'm excited to present to you an interview in just a little while with Tyjae Spears. As you know, Tyjae is a star running back, as most of you know, I guess, is a star running back for Tulane. And we had a great conversation. I mean, when I decided to start this show, this was precisely what I wanted to do, was to highlight people like this. I mean, you will hear about Tajae's story and sort of the adversity he's had to overcome with multiple injuries and just his, where his upbringing, and he talks about that. He talks about his family. He talks about he gets real personal, and he's open and he's an extraordinary person. Tajae, in addition to being a very talented running back who's produced for us, performed on the field, he's also on the AAC honor roll. He's a 3.0 student, and despite having so many great talents, he's a very humble person, as you will see. But I tried to make him a little cocky. We'll see how it came out, but he kept his humility for the most part. He's just a very likable person. I hope that you find him as likable as I do. So, without further ado, I now present to you my interview with Tyjae Spears.
Folks, welcome back to the Jimmy O Show. I'm happy to be here with Taisha Spears, relatively fresh off, I guess. 30 carry, 264-yard performance against Memphis, and I've gotten to talk to Taisha a little bit. I could tell, he's a pretty humble guy. But I'm gonna put some pressure on him right here. I'm gonna say, Taisha, what's it like being in that moment, knowing that you're the best guy on the field?
Well, I just want to start out by saying thank you for having me. But just being in that moment, like you said, like I'm just humble. Like I was just, like I'm just like humble. Like I don't really, I just like take one opportunity at a time. And I just felt like the opportunity was presented, so I took it that night.
Yeah, and so I was putting a little pressure on you at that. Get into that a little bit though. I think about like maybe pick up basketball games. I was never a good enough offensive lineman to really get into a zone like you were. But we talked about being in the zone. Does the game seem to just slow down? I mean, 30 carries, 264 against a really talented team like that. I mean, do the holes just look bigger? Does the game slow down a bit? Like, what's it like having the rock and just consistently ripping off 20 yards, 30 yards, 50-yard runs?
Like I said, like I'm just humble, but like it's time. Like I just knew in my head, like this team can't stop me. So like, why would I let them stop me? So every time I got the ball, like the coaches they put in a great scheme for their game. But every time I got the ball, it was like I can do something with it. So let me do something with it. Now it's my time to shine. Like this, what like then like before the game, I told myself, you know, the whole season don't matter no more. It's all you gonna be judged on how you play your last game. So like my my goal was to go out with a bang, and hopefully that's what I did.
I think you did, man. And look, for the fans that don't know, because you've been around a while, but Taisha was technically a freshman this year because you arrived on the scene, and we'll get into this a little bit. Back in 2019, your true freshman year, you had a couple 50-plus yard touchdowns against Missouri State. But you redshirted that year because you didn't play in 4 games. And then last year, you got a free year back because of COVID. And you also had the injury. And so you've been around a while, but you're sort of established in the Greenway family. But let's go back even further. I want our audience to know who Taisha Spears is. I mean, the person who, in all the influences that led to the point that we saw what we saw that night in December of this year. So you grew up in Ponchatoula, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Ponchatoula, a small town, Louisiana, 45 minutes away from New Orleans. Like, so you want to know who I am? Like I said, like I'm just like a humble dude. Like I'm just a humble dude from a neighborhood where there's not many opportunities, and like now I'm taking advantage of my opportunity, and like that's what I plan to do. So, and my goal in life is, just to just to make a way for the kids who under me, not under me, but the kids that come behind me, and just give them something to look up to in life. And like I'm not flashy. I don't want to have all the attention. I just want to Like, I'm gonna just work hard. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do to get to where I'm supposed to get to.
Right. I mean, look, it's universal. What you just described there in terms of why we're here and how do we become a success in life, and that's the attitude. And I think whether you're talking about, I don't know, Thomas Jefferson or Abraham Lincoln or Martin Luther King or any number of historical figures, it's sort of it's that same path. It's about representing. Presenting a example to others, but then to sort of be willing to put in the work to get there. So Tyjae, one of 9 children, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of us. Like my dad got it's 5 boys total between my dad and my mom, and we got I got 3 sisters, so that's like 8. So it's like I'm one of 8. So it's a lot of us. It's a lot of love. They very supportive. They be at almost every game. If they don't come, it's like because work issues or something like that. But like they very supportive. There's much love with like all 8 of us. One call, everybody, they one call away. Whatever I need, they got me, and whatever they need, I got them.
That's awesome. And look, I told you a little bit before we got on, but my mom and dad. I grew up in the Lutcher area, St. James Parish, and my mom was one of 13 and growing up on a farm there, and my dad was one of 7, and so I've gotten to witness sort of firsthand that dynamic and also that small town thing, being 45 minutes from the big city. Growing up in St. James Parish, you're kind of right in between New Orleans and Baton Rouge, but you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, man, nowhere.
And so that bond, those family reunions, I'd imagine. Not reunions, but like get-togethers, Christmas. I imagine there's lots of different dishes on the table there.
Yeah, like just like this past Christmas, it was like amazing. Like just to sit around. Like it was just a few of us, just because some family members they was out of town, some family members wasn't able to make it. But it was amazing just because like everybody bought a dish, and like we had a lot of food, and we actually had time, to sit down and have fun with each other. It don't really matter, but my auntie, she just got engaged over there too, so that was a nice thing to see that that she finally experiencing happiness.
Oh, that's awesome. And what's your aunt's name? We're gonna give her a shout out here.
Sherry Hart. It's actually her birthday today. If it's the 28th, happy birthday.
Okay, well we're recording on the 28th. That'll be released later, but Auntie Sherry, he's thinking about you. Okay,
Sherry Hart, happy birthday.
Tyjae, where do you fall in the pecking order of the 8 siblings? Are you the?
Oh, I'm See, I got a little sister, so I got one little sister, but other than that, I'm the youngest.
Okay.
I'm the youngest. So like growing up, like my little sister, she fairly new. So like growing up, I was always the youngest. So like I always had. My daddy used to always save me from a lot of stuff, and my daddy wouldn't let nothing happen to me. So that's probably why we just so close,
Yeah, the babies always get. My Pauline, my youngest of 4, she can get away with stuff her brothers and sisters that didn't get away with.
But that's what they say all the time. They be like, man, dude, like they be like, Tyjae, like you got away with so much, like stuff that we would get like whooped behind. Like you just got away with it just because you the youngest.
Right.
So they must got tired of whooping us for the same thing.
That's right. Now, as far as your brothers and your older sisters, were they athletes as well? Did they play sports?
My brother, he was. Oh yeah, my big brother, he was. My big brother Byron, he was. They say he was good. They say he was probably like better than me, but.
I'd have to see that.
His dreams, yeah. Yeah, man. Then my brother Marquez, he was good. Like I was mad at him, but the choices that not even the choices. It's just like it goes back down to the opportunities that you gotta grow up so fast coming from a neighborhood. Cause like sooner or later you just going through school and wind up before you in a blink of eye you in 12th grade. Now it's time you gotta support yourself at 18 years old, and like sports ain't always the way out. Cause back then scholarships wasn't easy to come by. Like, not saying like easy to come by now, but it's a lot more resources like social media and different things to get film out there, and different coaches that know a lot of people. But back then it wasn't like that for my brothers, and so I just felt like they I just felt like they was forced to grow up fast and like missed out on the opportunity. But like that's what I'm here for, so fulfill their dreams.
Yeah, and I think that's true. I think that's something that people may not realize how much, recruiting and college prep has changed. There's a lot of bad information in the world. Social media is a lot of waste on there and a lot of distraction. But at the same time, that we never had as much information available to us in terms of what you got to do in terms of grades and test scores and admissions and all of that side of things. And then also to get your name out, because sometimes if you had a program, Ponchatoula has been getting a lot of recognition here lately. Yeah. You and TJ Finley, and there's some big time prospects coming out now. But, sometimes they're not on the normal recruiting circuit for these coaches, and they don't know where to look to find a big time prospect.
Nah, like it's a lot of dudes that I may have played with, and I may have played with in high school, and they didn't get the same opportunity as me. Just like to go back to it, just the resources. It's all about resources now. And if you don't have them now, like it may not work out for you.
Yeah, and we can talk. We'll talk a little bit about some of the off the field resources you have available to you at Tulane. But let's talk about your high school career and recruiting. You got hurt your freshman year of high school, right?
Yeah, so I can start from freshman year.
Sure, you can start wherever you want. If you want to talk about dominating Strawberry Stadium and Pop Warner Ball, that's fine too.
All right. Oh yeah. Hey, I probably was better in Little League than I am now. I ain't gonna lie. Like, that's my daddy. Like, he wouldn't lie, but I had like 20 touchdowns and a whole bunch of yards. Little League though, I don't think I was that good in junior high, but people say I was. But let's fast forward to freshman year in high school. So freshman year in high school, like, I was having like a good few days of practice. Like when we practice to the beginning of school, I was having a good few days in practice. And like when this particular practice, like I was having a good day of practice, making everybody miss. And like I had went to make a cut, but another defender, he was coming across my face on my knee, and my leg got stuck in the ground. So like my knee swelled up real bad. I couldn't walk. I had to get crutches. I had crutches around the school. Then I finally went and got an MRI, torn ACL, out for the year.
Before you even started.
Before I even started, Then did rehabbing myself back to where I'm supposed to. Then 10th grade year, I got into a fight. But let me remind you, like my dad was on me the whole time. Like, you gotta get right. You gotta get right. Cause you can't be in the streets like everybody else. You got to make something out yourself. So
you had more problems with your dad than you did in that fight, I'm sure.
Yeah, he definitely got on me. But like 10th grade year, so then that's when my Coach Hank got in my ears. Like, man, like you really can go to college. Like Coach Hank Tierney is like, you really can go to college. Like you got, it's on you, but you can't get in college with C's and D's and F's. So. C's, D's, and L's. So like that's like why that shaped me to like try to shoot for honor roll as much as I can. That's what shaped me, holding myself accountable, like doing the little things. Like, don't nobody have to tell you to make good grades in school. You should already do that. Like, you don't get a pat on the back for doing that. Like, that's what you supposed to do. Like, stuff like that you supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to reward people for doing that to keep them pushing, but like that's what you supposed to do. But like 10th grade year. So he put that in my ear. So now I'm in grind mode. 11th grade year. I'm having an okay season. High ankle sprain, how them can be nagging. So high ankle sprain, I just never shook back from it. Like, I remember one game I was like limping I scored a touchdown, but I was limping so bad. But then we're gonna go to senior year. That's probably the best year I played football ever.
Yeah,
besides my Little League.
yeah. Senior year, and we haven't seen much of the receiving yet, but you had like, you had 1,800 total yards, but it was almost like half receiving and half rushing, right?
It was like 1920 rushing and 19. I'm sorry, it was like 920 rushing and 903 receiving.
Okay.
18 something like touchdowns, something like that.
Yeah, and Coach Tierney. So you mentioned Coach Tierney. Coach is a beloved, legendary coach really around here. He was a longtime coach at Shaw, and he coached some of my teammates, and they still go to bat for Coach Hank as one of the guys. Shout out to Torrey Tully and Derek Joseph and Terrell Harris were all guys who played with me.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Smith were Shaw guys that I played with at Tulane, and they all credit Coach Hank. Was he one of your biggest influences in terms of, and you described how he got after you about the classroom. Is he one of the biggest influences that led you to be here?
Man, I thought when I first met Coach Hank, man, I thought he was so mean. Like one time, I had to tell you, like I had texted him like 10 or something. He's like, don't ever text me that late. But like he was just being like that, just because I was young. He was just trying to mold me. But like, man, like if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be right here right now. Cause Coach Hank, man, he went so far for me. Like he pressed the issue on every college coach that was. He still pressed the issue. Like now, like if something go wrong, like he calling Coach Fritz, he calling Coach Fire, he calling Jalen. Like man, that's how much he really care about me, man. I got so much love for him, man. I wish they would have won that state game, but you know how they go. But like, man, I got so much love for Coach Hank, and like, man, I really appreciate him from the bottom of my heart. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, I mean, and look, we all, no matter where you are in life, whatever successes you had, anybody who's successful in life, we've all had those people. Mm-hmm. There's always been that guy who didn't have to do something for us that did anyway, and it makes all the difference.
Man, the thing is about it, like he don't I just feel special like to him, but like he don't have to do that. Like he gained nothing from that. And I'm not the only person he do that for. Like he gained nothing from that. So like that's what make it more valuable. Like Coach, like you doing all that for me, and like Coach, like honestly, like my situation, Coach. I don't have nothing to offer to you, and he don't want nothing. He's the definition of a father figure. Like if something happened to my dad, I know I can turn to him and he'll beat up for me like my dad. So like that's a special man.
That's awesome. I mean, and I can never get enough of those stories because I mean that's what life's about. That's why we're here. Mm-hmm. Is to serve one another.
And like that's what I kind of want to do with my path. I know we're probably gonna touch on it a little later. Like he inspired me so much, but like I kind of like I want to be a football coach. And that's what I'm going to school for now at Tulane. I'm studying health and wellness. I want to be a football coach. I'm finna get into education and find a subject to teach in high school. I want to be a high school football coach, not just for the not for the coaching aspect of it, just for the mentor. Like do something for a young kid or many young kids that something like Coach Hank did for me.
Right. Mm-hmm. I love it. So Coach Hank, with Coach Hank's help and your dad keeping you out of those fights, mm-hmm. Yeah. You started getting recruited, right? Mm-hmm. And when you look at the public profiles, 24/7 and Rivals and all those places, they basically Tulane was your quote unquote best offer, but that doesn't tell the whole story, does it?
Nah, it don't tell a quarter of the story.
Yeah. So who are some you chose Tulane, and I want to get to why you chose Tulane, but who are some of the other teams who came after you maybe later in the process, early in the process? What are some of the other choices you really considered in terms of going to?
Man, it's crazy, man. When I tell you every team passed up on me, like I told you, like Coach Hank pressed the issue, but every team passed on me, every single team. You name the team, they passed on me. Like they who Taisha Spears is. Like they passed on me. They probably clicked on my film and turned it right off. But like Kansas State did come in like the last 2 weeks, in which they had a new coaching staff and the recruiter over there. I forgot his name. He wanted me to come over that bad. It got down to the wire with Tulane and Kansas State, but I just stuck with Tulane just because they was there with me from day one.
Yeah, well, if Tyjae Spears was at Kansas State, Deuce Vaughn wouldn't be getting all that solo back love over there. He'd be sharing the ball at least. But I'm glad you're sharing it with Cam Carroll and YG and those guys instead.
Yeah, them some good dudes, man.
Yeah. So what was it about Tulane in terms of why you chose Tulane as your school of choice?
It's just, it was stressful. I ain't gonna lie. It came down to the wire. Like, it was one I remember the night, I was like, yeah, I'm going to Kansas State. Woke up in the middle of the night. I'm like, man, I'm so young, man. I don't know if I can be 14 hours away from my dad and my family and all that. And I was like, I'm just stick with Tulane, because it do got the better benefit of the education and stuff like that. So I feel like the education gonna help me. I feel like the education gonna help me in the long run. Cause like honestly, like one day football gonna be over with, and like what you gonna have to fall back on. You need education in life to get you farther than most, or to come back to where you come from. It's like, honestly, like, it really don't matter it didn't matter where I go, as long as I got the opportunity to do something that no one in my family ever done before. And like, honestly, and like, if everything goes as planned, I should be graduating in December to be a first generational college student in the whole family. So like, that's a big accomplishment for me. So I still got a lot to work for. So
well, that's amazing. So there's December 2022. You're on track to graduate then.
Yeah, I got a lot more hours, but I feel like I can do it. Like, if I don't graduate in December, I'm gonna graduate in May. So
yeah.
So 2022 or 2023, like this upcoming year, I'm gonna be graduating. So
and that's and you would be the first college graduate in your family?
Yeah, first college graduate, because my mom went, but she ain't finished, and my brother went, but he ain't finished either. So like, I'd be the first one to graduate.
That's amazing, man. That's awesome.
Been through like all what I've been through, all the trials and all the tribulations. It is amazing, man. I can't wait till the day. And I'm just, when I graduate, I'm going to just hang the plaque up on one of them wall, probably my mom and my dad, one of the two.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, well, we all come from different places. There are families out there, and you meet a lot of those kids on Tulane's campus where it's just assumed that you're going to, that 5 generations before them graduated from college, and that you were just expected that you're going to graduate from college. But that's not the same for everyone. Everyone's coming from a different place. And so what you're talking about is sort of, when you look at things through the lens of a family tree, like you're advancing that family, you're multi-generational family, you're moving it forward with that accomplishment.
And like, that's what I do. Like, I got a little cousin, like, I'm gonna say his name, like John Daz. Like, I just try to be the best role model I can for him. I hope I don't fail him. I hope he follow. He don't even gotta follow my footsteps. Just follow some footsteps, to just do something with your life. Just because he a very bright young man, it'd be a shame if he like waste his life. And like, I'm gonna do everything in my power to help.
And speaking of bright young men, so people probably don't realize this. Most people know that you're a really good running back, but last year you were on the American Athletic Conference honor roll for the entire year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said earlier in the podcast, like I take pride in my grades, just because like someone shouldn't have to tell me like to make good grades, or tell me to do something like that, because I feel like that's my obligation. That's why I came here. I came here to do that. Like, someone shouldn't have to tell me that. So I came here to do that. That's I feel like that's what make me excel in life.
And so to put a cap on it, so that's an honor that the conference gives out for players that maintain a 3.0 GPA over the course of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So, folks, you're looking at a stud. What I was, and I'll give some background. The reason I wanted to do this show is that I think when you're dealing with guys who play at Tulane, it's easy to sort of just look at, as a fan, to look at guys on the field as player for your favorite team. But the reality is, you guys are working 40 hours a week with football. You're maintaining grades. I mean, you're talking about extraordinary people. You're talking about top 1% athlete, 99 percentile athletes. But then to go along with that, in your case, you're honors. You're set to graduate with honors in health and wellness in a year. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should be proud of that.
It is, man. You got to thank the man above, and the man above, that's God. So, it's all a part of the journey. So I'm just one step at a time.
Yeah. That's
awesome.
It is. Well, look, let's Mr. Humility here. I'm gonna push you a little bit again. I wanna talk about what makes you unique as a football player. If you don't think you're unique, what do you think your best attributes are as a football player?
I feel like I'm gonna work hard. Like, no matter whatever the situation is. Like I said, like, people don't know. Like, I came from 2 ACL surgeries and many other knick-knack injuries. So I feel like I'm gonna work hard, no matter what I go through. I feel like I'm gonna work hard. I feel like I got a lot to prove. Matter of fact, I take that back. I ain't really got that much to prove. I'm already overlooked, so it don't matter what people think, So like, I feel like I got a lot, I got a lot to accomplish, and I got a lot of people that believe in me. But what make me unique on the field, I feel like I can make a man miss, and I feel like I can be a home run hitter from anywhere. Like, if we backed up, on the 2-3 yard line, you give me the ball, I might take it to the 50. I might take it to the other 40. You know, so I feel like I have that ability to make a big play in big moments of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you know, like when I look at a complete running back, you know, you look at different attributes, and you know, can a guy, you know, can he make a guy miss? First of all, can he see the hole? Can he anticipate the play flow and know where to hit it, where to cut back? Can he break it off? You know, a lot of guys can make guys miss, but they don't have the breakaway speed to end the play. Can he run a guy over if he needs to run him over? Can he catch the ball coming out of the backfield? Can he block? Does he know? And that might be the most important things in terms of the NFL level is like if you can't. I saw it. You know, we saw it at the Washington game. One thing you notice after Gibson went out, Washington, Dallas. You know, you got the Patterson kid's real good running back, but clearly the coaches don't trust him to block because every pass situation they bring it in the other guy. And it's like, man, you want that guy to get the ball more, but you can't keep him on the field because he can't block. And when I look at you play, I can see all those things on film. And so, you know, do you feel like you complete back or do you feel like there's something that you can still work? I know you can always work harder and get better, but is there a specific area in terms of the skills of a running back that you want to continue to work on?
It's just finishing, you know. I can make the big play, but like sometimes I get way down there and I don't finish. You know, I shouldn't be telling y'all this, but I am. Oh well. But look, I gotta finish as an athlete. Also blocking, you know. I feel like I can make some good blocks and some big blocks, you know, to help keep a play going. But like I feel like I need to be an all around better blocker, you know, and just knowledge of the game. Really, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, I can make people miss. I can run over people. It's like, honestly, like, I'm not bragging. I'm dead serious. Like, probably, like, give me, like, a 9 times out of 10 chance, like, I'm going to make the first dude miss. And, like, and the first dude ain't going to bring me down. And, like, don't bring this interview up later in my career. I'm like, oh, he said the first dude ain't going to bring him down. But sometimes it happen like that. But, you know.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, and this is no knock on the guys up front. Everybody has good games or bad games, but there were a couple times in that season where you were starting to get going this year where it's like, man, he's kind of doing it himself out there. And I'm not asking you to respond to that. Those guys did come on, though, and by the end of the season, we were kind of like the running unit had really made a lot of progress.
Yeah, them, I swear, like, you know, like, they've probably been, like, that O-line group, man, that we had this year. Like, we've been through it all, like, from every position on offense. Like, we've been through it. Like, but them dudes, when I tell you them front five in they depth, like them front five in they depth, they work the hardest on offense. Out of every position group, they work the hardest. Starting in the middle, you know, start the middle with Sincere, like great leader, man. They work the hardest. Like they go everywhere with each other. You know, they wait on each other. So they was a unit. So like, you know, we all have flaws, but I feel like they work the hardest, and like this upcoming year we're gonna be real, real good. And I want to say something else about him. It's okay though.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Sincere's definitely. I mean, he's a guy I want to get on this show. I gotta give some love to the offensive lineman. I was an offensive lineman, but going back real quick to able to run guys over. You actually played because of your rehabbing off an injury. You hadn't actually gotten back to your ideal weight, right? You were playing a little light this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, I haven't got back to my ideal game because like it's season over now. I can say it, like honestly, like I know I got hurt in like I got my surgery in like October 1st probably or something like that. Then like I ain't
October 1st, 2020.
2020. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ain't have a real off season, so like I kind of was playing behind, and like I ain't get my leg right till the beginning of summer, so like I was that far behind, so like fall camp, like I was limited the whole season, like I was limited. You know, that's why I wasn't playing that much in the 6 games, and like I was kind of getting frustrated. But like by SMU week, that's when they finally took me off being limited, and like that's when I really started getting into the swing of things. So like I haven't really got back to my full potential yet, and I feel like this year was a great year to show me where I'm at and like show me where I need to get at. Like this year coming up, I got so many goals and things that I want to accomplish this season, and I feel like I am. It's just take a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and so let's talk about a little bit of that. The over your career, we touched on it earlier, but you sort of your true freshman year, you burst on the scene, you play in a few games and had a couple big plays against Missouri State, and then really The game that stuck out to me that year, where I said, man, we got something with this guy, is the Navy game. Because our lead backs that year were Darius and Corey Duffine, and both of them were out that game. And then you and Cam Carroll had to step up and fill those shoes in a tough game and put on a pretty good show. But then you sat out the bowl game so you can maintain your redshirt status, right?
Man, before that Navy game, man, when I tell you, I was so scared. Like, I was scared just because, like, I knew I had to, like, it was a lot of checks and calls. It's like they bring all type of blitzes. Yeah. So, like, they can bring, like, a corner. They can bring, like, two backers. Like, you know, like, as a running back, you got to track all that because if you don't track it, the quarterback going to get killed. And, like, that's what happened in that game. I got the quarterback hit a few times. But, you know, but that all comes with learning and growing. So I just feel like I did some good stuff in that game too.
Maybe you could take Justin McMillan out to dinner when you get that first NFL check. Man.
Yeah, maybe. Tell him sorry for them corner cats.
Yeah. Well, no, I know the corner cat. Now look, this is where you can get information here you're not going to get anywhere else. And I have the utmost respect for our military. I got to tell you, my experience in the late '90s was. They're some of the dirtiest guys out there. Yeah. Yeah.
They is.
That's another thing you got to worry about when you play Navy and Army.
The year I had got hurt, so, like, we had played Navy at home. Like, I was going back to block one linebacker. I ain't going to say his name. He's like, yeah, you little B. I was like, dang, why you got to call me all that? Like, dang.
Man, look, they grabbing you under the pile and trying to pinch you in all the wrong places. At least 20 years ago, they were that way.
Yeah, they probably still like that. I don't try to stay on the pile. I don't try to stay down there too long. I get talking and get right back up.
Yeah, you gotta go away. And then, you know, the worst part though is they're dirty in you know, their office. They do all the cut blocks and all that other stuff. And the refs
don't call nothing.
I mean, they're sitting there pledging allegiance to the flag and won't throw a flag on them.
They won't call nothing. That's why I cut you off, because I knew they won't call nothing. That happened, like, not even with them. That happened to me in so many games. I'm like literally looking at the ref like, you didn't see what he just did? Like, come on, man.
Man, my face mask is coming off my helmet.
Exactly. You can't he's grabbing my face mask. I'm going this way. Like, it's easy. I'm going this way. He grabbing my face mask. Like, come on, ref.
I know, man. Look, again, no disrespect to the military, but those boys, they do. I guess they from their perspective, they do what they have to do in order to compete. We'll see. We did have a reputation. I think the Syracuse coach in '97 called us the dirtiest team in America. So I understand. Coach Bowden always stressed to us to play through the echo of the whistles, what he would say. We did pick up a few personal fouls here and there, but so you do that, and then coming into 2020, you're going to be a redshirt freshman. Last year, COVID season, and all the excitement was about Tyjae sort of being the guy, and that's how the season started. You had a couple big games, but then while in the process of scoring a touchdown against USM, you tore your ACL again.
Yeah, my mindset that whole year was get it. Like, I remember in the off season, like, I would work out like probably like 2 times a day sometimes. Like,
you're working out 2 times a day?
2 times a day with Keon and Corn, Jaquan. I was like working out 2 times a day, man. I was like, man, I can't stop. Like, you know, somebody, you know, not even somebody else working harder, just because, like, I know what I'm trying to do this year. I'm trying to run for 1,000 this year. I'm trying to run for so many touchdowns this year. To where I was overworking myself, and, like, over the time I put too much, you know, like on the board, I put too much load on my body.
Yeah. Know? So we're sitting here in the Roof Fitness studios, and my producer and the owner of this great place, Bradley Schnelly, he's got on his board, he's got some capacity and functional movement equations and so forth. And Tyjae was sitting there studying it all before we came on air. That's what he's referring to with the board. So you know, it had to be devastating. It was the second game of the year, right?
It was the third game of the year.
Third, that's right.
Yeah, I was, but, like, it was crazy because in pregame I felt something like my calf was acting up. So, like, in the whole game I was like, something ain't right. You know what I'm saying? But, like, me being the person I am, I'm not finna sit out no game just because, like, my calf, I got a little injury to my calf, and I said something right, and just I was like, Pratt, give me the ball. So I got the ball, made the one dude miss. And going into the end zone, I shouldn't even got tackled, but, you know, everything happens for a reason. So I shouldn't even got tackled him. Like I just landed on my leg. My left leg got caught, and I landed on my right leg in an awkward position. So I just felt it. I felt it pop. I really thought my leg was broke. I thought it was facing like to the right.
Yeah.
I thought it,
100-yard games against South Alabama and then against Navy, and then this happens on your second touchdown of the day. I was in the stadium and we fell down early in that game. I'm nervous, and then you scored. I'm all excited, and I see you not getting up, and it's like, oh no, here we go.
Yeah, I was. It ain't really hit me until I got in the locker room. I saw everybody come back in. I started crying like a little baby, but
yeah. Well, I mean, when you think about what you just talked about, how hard you are working up to that point to get this opportunity, and then you're doing it. You're following through, and you're making good on that opportunity with the success you're having, and to have it all taken away for all of the year had to be tough on you.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. Like that's the story of my whole life. I work so hard for stuff, and like I still don't be rewarded for it in the end. Like I work hard, put in extra time, and I still get overlooked. That's the story of my life, and like one day it's gonna change.
Well, right, and you talked about the man upstairs, but the good thing about him is that he sees all that work.
Yeah, So that's why I say like I might not be rewarded right now, but that's why I say one day it's gonna change.
Yeah, yes, sir. And so let's talk about that. I mean, I the recovery, it was a long process.
And
how hard was it to come all the way back from that injury?
And I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit so many times, man. Like at first I was happy. I got disconnected with everything. I got disconnected with myself. I got disconnected with my work ethic. I'm still trying to get it back. I got disconnected with God. I got disconnected with everything. Like 2-3 months in, I couldn't bend my leg. I couldn't scrape my leg, and I still had trouble doing it. That's what people don't know, but I still worked through it. But I had all these complications and problems, like my range of motion. I had a lag in my knee. I couldn't walk without limping. I couldn't run without limping. It got started to be so much a problem that I had to go back and see the doctor again. That's what people don't know. Again, I had to go get a scope, so they had to
a follow-up surgery.
I think he clipped a piece of my meniscus off because I guess it wasn't healing or it grew back on or something like that. So that's what people don't know. So I actually had 3 surgeries on my leg. So the process was long, man. And I was so ready to quit, but like they always say, it's light at the end of the tunnel. That was the quote this season, the whole season. So it's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. And then you talk about that sort of rehab process, just to give people an idea. Like, what were you before you went down? When before at the time of the first game of 2020, what was like your 40 time, your vertical jump, things like that?
I was pretty fast. I ain't gonna lie. I was I don't like bragging. I don't know. Like to me, I probably hit a good 4.4 and probably good 37 jumping. Like I always can jump high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was jumping pretty high. What else?
Yeah, that's all I asked. So yeah, I mean, I
was pretty fast. I can say I'm athletic, man. I'm athletic. I just don't. It's just like now I'm like. It just don't get shown that much, man. But I'm very athletic, so I'm a pretty fast guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm getting at. Is so you're a guy who, 37-inch vertical. That's let's just say that there are very, very, very few humans on earth that can do that, and you go from having that sort of elite skill set to where you can't even bend your leg, right?
Yeah.
You can't straighten your leg. You can't do anything.
You gotta learn how to walk again. Learn how to walk again. Then it start off with 2 crutches, then it go to 1. Then you learn how to walk again. It's basic stuff like heel to toe, and so it's very frustrating, but that's the process.
Yeah, I mean it's literally like the rehab from a knee injury. I mean when he says you had to learn to walk in, he's being very literal. You actually have to learn how to put your heel down first, and then touch your toe, and then
heel to toe.
Learn to climb steps again, and everything. And so to go from that, okay, so you went through that process. You thought about quitting. You were in a dark place. You say disconnected from God. You sort of you lost some touch with your family and your work ethic and everything. Yet you got back on the field this year, and and it started slow, right? I guess it took a while, and I think you had mentioned it. It wasn't until the SMU game that they considered you not to be limited. You were a full participant. Up to that point, when you were limited, that in practice, that also limited your game reps as well.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I guess I don't know. Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Well, and so your reps in terms of game. I mean, I was like sort of we saw flashes here and there, but when you look at the season statistics, I mean, up to the Houston game, here's our guy. Last time we saw him was 2020, back-to-back 100-yard games, and then 50 yards in 2 quarters against USM and then the injury, and then 20 yards against Oklahoma, 6 against Morgan State, 15 against Ole Miss, 8 against UAB, 2 against East Carolina. I mean, you were like a lost man during that tough stretch.
Man, I'm saying, how many games that is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, man. Yeah. Dog, I was so frustrated, man. I was so frustrated. Like, I was like, like I'm working this hard. I worked this hard to get way back. Like, why am I not getting the opportunity? Mm-hmm. And it was some stuff I had to do to search myself deep inside. So it was one that we had a bye week. So that's when I really just took everything so serious. Like, I gotta stop blaming, outside factors and focus on what I'm not doing. Like, what can Tyjae do to better and to enhance my performance? Like, what can I do? And like, that's when I did. I can probably start saying, probably SMU after Houston, or probably Houston. That's when we had our bye week.
Yeah. Well, in that Houston game was that first flash of the old Tyjae. What did it feel like? Was there a moment in that game, or maybe SMU or Cincinnati, any of those games where you felt like, oh my, I'm back now?
Yeah, I had at touchdown run. I saw that big hole. I was like, man, I gotta score this. I ain't gonna lie. So I definitely felt like I was back then, just because that was something in the past that I used to say. And like, I see this big hole, I gotta take it. Because 9 times out of 10 later in the game, it ain't gonna happen again.
And so it's sort of shot out of a rock. We were struggling with Houston, fighting, but struggling, and you pop out a 39-yard touchdown run, kind of changed all the momentum in the game. I think you were pretty happy.
Yeah, I was. Oh my God, that was probably my favorite touchdown. But it's probably one of my favorite touchdowns. I ain't gonna say favorite, but I wish I would have. I wish I wouldn't. I had whatever this. What is this? My AC joint. I had messed up my AC joint in the same game. That's why I was limited to 5 carries, because I had messed up my AC joint on kickoff return.
Yeah, because I was sitting down low near the bench that game, and I see you come off the field after that return, and you're holding. I was like, man, Tyjae's hurt again. Yeah. And you barely played the rest of that game. Mm-hmm. Luckily, you're able to come back next week, 14 for 85 and a touchdown against SMU. And then after that, against playoff-bound Cincinnati, 19 for 106 with a 47-yard touchdown. That was a pretty sweet little play on that. On that, what do y'all call it? It was the wing T formation. And it really looked like just a zone blocking scheme.
Mm-hmm. It's just like an end-around play. I really forgot the name of it, to be honest. I think it was Clipper. That's what it's called. It's called Clipper. So like, yeah, they blocked it perfect too, man. I had one dude to beat.
And so in that. Am I correct that sort of, whether there's sort of like a combination there where the Cam's the deep back on that, it looked like just sort of an inside zone block scheme, but they handed it to you on the come around instead of handing it off to him as the deep back.
Yeah, they all they doing is like trying to capture the edge. It's like honestly, like they just supposed to reach everything. They're supposed to go around the edge. So like, but I think he wasn't in. He was kind of aggressive all game, so he played out. And like with him playing out, I just went inside of him
and I think I saw you got Ian Thomas seal up the.
Oh yeah, he did. That's why I said like
pursuit linebacker, and there was a seam there.
Yeah, he made like he had posted on some type of page on Instagram. Man, like that play was blocked perfect.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Everybody blocked that play perfect.
And then so that was your first 100-yard game of this season, 19 for 106, and then. Strong effort against UCF. UCF's got a tough defense at UCF, 15 for 77. And then 104 against Tulsa, 111 against USF, and then 264 against Memphis.
Yeah. It was a long journey, but, it finally paid off in the end, I got to my goal. Like that was my goal to get past 800 in the whole season. Get past 800 rushing yards, and I did it. So like that's something I can be proud of myself for. And like after that Cincinnati game, I was like, I had a lot of doubt. I had a lot of doubt going into that game. I was like, I used to scratch myself like not sleeping and bad sleeping. Like am I good enough to play? But like after that game, I'm like, man, Taisha, like honestly, like man, you can play with anybody. You can play with anybody. Whoever we suit up against, like I can play with anybody. And with that being the number 2, with the number 4 team in the college football. They showed y'all they number 4 team time at the time, and like the performance I had against them was I feel like it was a pretty good performance. So I feel like if I can do that against them, I can do that against anybody we play against.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't want to talk behind your back. So I told Coach Fritz last night that last week he was here, and I've seen a lot of good Tulane running back performances. I don't know that I've seen any better than that performance against Memphis. So you're in pretty high company because I watched a lot of Matt Forte games. I watched a lot of Tony Converse and Gerald Soule and some of those guys. I didn't see a lot of Mewelde Moore. He asked me about Mewelde. I didn't see a lot of Mewelde because I was in law school at the time.
Hey, to be honest, like I know you talking about that, but I could have had way more yards in Memphis game. I made a few bonehead mistakes.
Look, we got to own our mistakes and get better at them.
I ain't tripping. Like, that's a part of the process.
Yeah, they didn't want any of you that night. I mean, you were running over, through, and around dudes all night.
I had fun that game, man. I had some fun. Like, I be sitting in my room thinking about plays I could have did different, but, like, just wishing I had the opportunity back again just to play again. I had fun that night. I really had fun that night.
And so do you ever take a step back and just kind of put some perspective on it? Like, what you've told us about, you grew up, not without, you didn't have everything available at your disposal, but you had a loving family. But then you go to high school, you have an early injury, you don't get a lot of attention. You come to Tulane, you sort of buy your time, and then you explode in the scene, and you have the big setback, and then now you end the season. It was a tough season for the team, obviously, but you ended on a personal high note. Do you ever sit back and just kind of reflect on the journey so far and where you think this is going?
Nah, man, because like I just be too focused on what I'm trying to get to. To be honest, I just be too focused on what I got to deal with and what I got to go through, to even reach a higher level. Like I said, I'm so humble, and like honestly, like I be taking it day by day. Sometimes, but my mind be way in the future. But sometimes I be having to like sit back and see, like, man, like you can give yourself a pat on the back. My mom, she a great supporter of mine. I love her to death. She a great supporter. Like Tyjae, like you gotta calm down sometimes because you came a long way. My dad said me too, like, man, you came a long way. You can't always just think about the future and beat yourself up for the things that you don't have, man, just because you came a long way. Like that's what is amazing, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's the reality of life. It's always great to reflect, but we can't do. Once something's done, it's done. We can't do anything about what's in our past, and this is something I remind myself all the time at 44. I can't change anything I've done in the past, and I can't make the future happen yet. All I can control right now is this moment, and how can I get better in this moment?
Man, my daddy tell me, my daddy say I play good every game. He'll be like, man, you play good. I be like, Dad, what about the play? You can't go back, and it happened already. So just let it go. Just move forward. Just like the same thing he said.
So looking forward to 2022, what do you see in terms of not just Tyjae Spears, but the Tulane offense and then the Tulane team as a whole?
We're gonna be more explosive. We're gonna finish. We're gonna finish games because there was a lot of games that should have been won. You can, excuse me, I'm sorry, but you can name half of these games on this schedule should have been won. So these last from this game on down.
Yeah, so
all them games should have been won.
Yeah, I mean
well, look. Besides that one, all the rest of the games should have been won.
Other than Ole Miss, yeah. I mean, we were our own worst enemy in a large part for a lot of those games.
Yeah.
And do you feel like the collective locker room that there's a sense of that, there's some ownership of that, and guys are looking to correct that?
Honestly, I had got with one of my teammates, like just tell them, like, let us players and let other players let us have December off and let us get together in January, and like we're gonna do a lot of owning up in January, and we're gonna show the real leadership and who's gonna be the leaders gonna really come out in January, because that's when we're gonna come together as a team. And like honestly, like if they ain't willing to come together as a team, that's one bad part, and bad parts don't help things grow.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that we're gonna see what we need to see in terms of a unity and cohesiveness come January?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna work together, man. We're gonna build throughout the spring. We're gonna build throughout the summer. We're gonna build a brotherhood, a close knit group, and we're gonna be going for it all. And like our eyes, like all these teams, probably gonna get these same teams back again. Probably 4 different teams, non-conference teams. Probably gonna get these same teams back again, and we know we can beat them again. So our eyes is now is on the big trophy. The AAC championship trophy.
That's the one we want.
American trophy.
Yeah. It'd be extra sweet to get it before the UCF and Cincinnati and Houston leaves, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and look, so we're getting close to wrapping up, but the things I remember most about my playing days, and wasn't necessarily. I remember going undefeated pretty good. I remember all those games.
Yeah.
But some of the things you best remember are the times you spend with your guys, with your teammates. Do you have any particular favorite memories or things that have happened off the field that you want to share?
Nah, man, I don't really go out like that. I don't really, I don't really build. I ain't got that much of a relationship with nobody like that, to be honest. Like I said, like in January, hopefully that change, and maybe I can build a few relationships with some more people. But other than that, I wouldn't say like I stay to myself, but I kind of do. I don't really go out like that. I just be chilling, man.
You got a single focus. Are you gonna be living on campus?
Nah, I'm living off campus.
Okay. You living with any guys from the team, or you?
Yeah, Jaquan.
Jaquan Jackson.
That's my roommate.
Okay, yeah, that's Hornville High.
I'm a boy.
That's a River Parish guy.
Yeah, I'm a boy.
And we take a lot of pride. I'm a River Parish football guy, so we take a lot of pride in River Parish football. You got a couple of others. Macon's a River Parish guy. Noah,
a really good player. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mandel Eugene's from my high school, St. Charles. He's gonna be a good young guy. Yeah. All right. Well, let's last little thing, and then I got some quick questions for you. Just a day in a life. Let's give people a sense of what a life of a Tulane football player is in terms of honoring all the commitments. Waking up, working out, hitting breakfast, all that stuff. Like what are you doing on just a regular, say, Tuesday during the season?
Tuesday during the season, you wake up about 6. Lock on breakfast probably like 5:30 to 6:30. Then you got to do breakfast check. That's a part of accountability. You got to do breakfast check. So they want you to eat in the morning to fuel your body before practice. So then that's when we hit. I said 6:30. So like 7 o'clock we got special teams meeting. So that's sometimes. So Tuesday practice would be probably like punt and kickoff, because them two first special teams. Then we go to position meetings for an hour. And then we do the install for the day or prep for the week of the opponent that we facing for the week. We basically break them down. Then we go hit the field for practice. We go practice for like 2 hours.
Is that the full pad practice on Tuesday or the Saturday game?
Yeah, the full practice on Tuesday. So this is a practice where we got where we got team and 7-on-7 and two spot is like where 5 offensive linemen go against 5. Not like 5 offensive linemen go against 5 the box. So the box is like probably like the defensive lineman and the 2 linebackers. Nobody else, like no DBs in a drill. So it's like that's with the O linemen and the running backs, and on both sides. So basically the linebackers go against the running backs, and the linemen go against the defensive linemen. So that's basic Tuesday practice. Then after that, we call it up in the middle. Break it down with Coach Fritz. Then we go break it down with position group. Then after that, we got to hit class. Class is probably the most. It is the most important thing. That's what's gonna keep you at Tulane. So you hit your classes, like so. But your classes can range from any time of the day. So maybe you have 11 o'clock class, and if you have 11 o'clock class, you got to get off the field early. So then if you can have a 12 o'clock class from so then your classes can range from like 12 to 5. And your latest class can be probably like 10. So it's just on how it's just on how it's just on how you build your schedule with your academic advisor, and like we've been blessed with a really good academic advisor with Hannah, so she really set our schedule up, and she really take care of us in the long run.
Yeah, and speaking of that, and so just to sort of succinctly say, you're up at 6. You might not during a practice week. You might not be getting, and this is a day without workouts. You may not be finishing your last class to 10.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Also on Tuesdays and Wednesdays we also got to work out. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes depending on your class schedule, man, you might not be in the 10. Like I try to stay away from the night classes, but like if I have to get in them, I got to. Ain't no way around it. But I try to stay away from them.
That's a full day. That's a full day.
Real.
As far as the academic support y'all have, you mentioned what was the last
Hannah Richardson and Destiny. I don't know her last name, but they amazing though. Like they help you with everything. Like if you need some assistance, some help, if they can't help you, they gonna find somebody to help you like that. Like and they have no problem doing their job. Like I promise. Like if I have my phone, I can call Hannah right now. I'm like, I need help with such and such. She be like, okay, send it to me. Like we can get to work on it. That's how genuine it is. They about their job.
They care.
They care. They really care.
They help push out forward. And how about the new academic center?
It's great. It's great. Thanks to the donors. It look good. It smells better. It feels better. It got that new smell and it got the couch. One day I was
new learn smell.
Mm-hmm. Hey, one day I was sitting on the couch on my computer in my lap. Man, I was dozing off so bad. They was like, "Is he okay?" I was like, "Man, I was gone."
Yeah, I bet. All right, so let's hit some important stuff. What's your favorite food in the world? What whether it's mom makes or your aunt or whatever.
I really like spaghettis and pork chops.
Yeah.
Yeah, spaghettis and pork chops.
Now, how about I know you're young. You might not be able to get out to all the New Orleans restaurants. Have you picked one yet that's kind of your favorite around town?
Yeah, I visited Fire Crab a few times, a whole bunch of times.
Fire Crab, yeah.
It's probably right there. What is it?
I think it might be a few. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what you get there when you go?
I get the shrimp special, so it's like shrimp, and you get 2 snow crabs, and you get some sausages, and you get a potato and corn.
Oh, they feed you, huh?
Yeah. They better feed you. It's like $60 if you buy them for 2. They better feed you.
It may be nothing because you like to keep to yourself. You don't like to go out. But is there a favorite activity around town? Maybe even just going to the zoo or putt golf or whatever.
Nah, man. I'm gonna start getting out more. It's just it's gonna come with time.
Yeah, man. Look, from my perspective, I don't care if you keep your head down, keep grinding.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a way to be the best running back in college football. Yeah. I can go out. My dad always tell me, man, you can go out when you get older.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and so I'm not gonna necessarily push you into the nightlife, but it would be good to get out, go see some museums, whatever during the daytime. Go fill in on the weekends at least.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Like go out. Like I ain't really too much of a party person.
Yeah.
Too much drama and too much danger at parties. I ain't none of that.
Yeah, I know, man. Things have gotten crazier and crazier as time has gone by. I know if they had Instagram and all that stuff when I was playing, it would have been a different world. All right, who's the low-key smartest guy on the team? Who's somebody that just blows you away and nobody out there would even realize it? Other than Taisha Spears.
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know. It probably got to be like I'm saying this because I really like him. It's probably Sincere.
Yeah.
Probably it might be Will though, because like Will, they think
who's Will?
Will Wallace.
Oh, Will Wallace, yeah.
They think he crazy, but I think he real smart.
Yeah.
But it might be Sincere him though. That's my 2 picks.
Yeah, Sincere looked like he's always thinking about 3-4 steps ahead.
Yeah, man, that's a smart dude, man.
And then how about the funniest? Who's the funniest guy out there? Probably
Darius, Darius Hodges or Kevin Henry. But
yeah.
Kevin Henry gone, so probably Darius. That dude right there is a clown. Like he probably he send me TikTok videos every other day, like just dying laughing, man. That dude right there, a clown.
Yeah. We didn't have TikTok on. We had to find ways to entertain ourselves. We had some ongoing games that lasted the 4 years that are not safe for TV, so we'll leave them. But we had some good little traditions. We had a bunch of funny dudes when I was playing. All right, man. Well, look, Tyjae, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I appreciate you coming out and sharing a little bit about yourself. It's not always easy getting in front of the lights and the microphone and talking about personal things, and I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man. And, whenever you're trying to get me back again, I'm coming.
Yeah, okay.
I appreciate it, man.
All right, good, man. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And, folks, that'll wrap it up for this portion of the Jimmy O Show. We appreciate y'all joining us and look forward to seeing Tyjae next year on the field. Thanks again to Bradley and Roof Fitness for this space for the Jimmy O Show presented by Fear the Wave.
All right. Well, hope you enjoyed that interview, folks. It was hopefully as good as I promised. I've been known to hype things beyond what they really are, but I think in this case, with a guest like that, he did all the hard work and made it a very compelling interview. I am here now to wrap the show up. Before I do, we did get a Twitter question from my friend Matt Ungarino. Matt, I'm not going to grade each position group with a letter grade, but I will give you, hopefully what you want. The reason I won't give a letter grade, what does that really mean? A guy like me, I probably won't give anybody an F. So if really my lowest grade is a C or C minus, well, what does that mean, right? I give C minus, that might mean average or slightly below average for somebody else, and it might be the worst possible grade I hand out. But what I can do is sort of give you my assessment on a position by position basis of the season, where just sort of the down and dirty of that. So let's start. Let's zoom out a second, okay? Tulane, because each season's different. This season, Tulane faced a tougher schedule, and I'm not going to sit here and make all excuses. At the end of the day, we did what we did. Our record is what it is, and evacuations and hurricanes and all those other things aside, but we did play, according to TeamRankings.com, the 55th hardest schedule in the country. That's relevant when we're talking about grades because we can't compare, we don't play that type of schedule every season. So for reference, the same group ranked our schedule in 2020 as the 76th ranked schedule. Okay, so we stepped up in class. Now, I think a more comparable season in terms of strength of schedule of the opponent, our opponents that we played in 2019, that team ranking had us playing the 57th ranked schedule. You'll recall that year that was the Armed Forces Bowl year in which we went 6-6 in a regular season and then won the bowl game and finished 7-6. Last year, I think the argument can be made that a good argument can be made that we sort of had the worst possible record for the degree of performance we had. Another metric I like to look at, I think it's really telling in the NFL, maybe a little less so in college football because of the variance in opponents. But it's nonetheless a really rough guide, better than total yardage because it takes into account pace of play and things of that nature, is points per play. And so looking at the points per play on offense and the points per play on defense over the Willie Fritz tenure tends to reveal a little something about the team. Well, last year's team was 20th in the NCAA, in the FBS, in points per play on offense, the top 20 offense in that metric, and then 42nd in defense. And so that tells you sort of on a macro level, even though we were disappointed in the results of some of these games, you recall at least two of those losses, we would have been on that ESPN win probability scale of 99% chance to win, and we somehow lost. The Navy game and the Tulsa game, one on a Hail Mary, one on a crazy second half comeback early in the season. We won 7, probably should have won at least 9, maybe 10 games last year. That was with the 20th and 42nd ranked offenses. We were also 35th in the country in turnover margin. So I think that's relevant because that then sets the stage for where our expectations were coming into this year. And then so this year you played a tougher schedule, but if you would have maintained that level of performance, certainly you'd have won more than 2 games, right? But the problem is we didn't maintain that level of performance. We finished 87th in offensive points per play this year. We finished 99th in defensive points per play, 124th in turnover margin. So, I mean, even though the scale of the opponent increased, we stepped up in class. We didn't step up in class to the degree that we should have had that decrease in output. I think it's fair to say, and the record's reflective of this, that Tulane took a pretty significant step back in those overall big picture metrics. Now, surprisingly, when you look at sort of the stats, let's start on offense here. So, offensively, Tulane, the rushing game is probably where we took the biggest step back. Ran for 2,605 yards in 2020. This year, Tulane only rushed for 1,979. And we felt that. We felt the inconsistent running game. Coincidentally, or not coincidentally, as we began to develop a better running game on the stretch, we became much more competitive. And so for the second half of the season, you saw we ran the ball much better, and the game results were, again, where if we were losing close, and then we won the game in that stretch as well. But the passing offense, this is where expectations come in. It's actually, we did increase about 40 yards per game in passing offense, but when you look at touchdown to interception ratio, when you look at quarterback rating, when you look at completion percentage, all of those things sort of stayed flat. So while it felt, and so I guess we'll start with Michael Pratt, where it felt like Michael may have regressed a bit this year as a passer, that's not really what the numbers bear out. What they bear out is a flatlining. But I believe you, like me, like Coach Fritz, like Michael Pratt, all expected him to take a big step forward in terms of production, throwing the ball. And there's all sorts of numbers. This is not a one-person game. As much as the media may want to make Tom Brady won 6 Super Bowls, blah, blah, blah. It's okay. Well, Tom Brady's teams have won that many, right? It matters who someone is surrounded by. Nonetheless, his passing, was more or less even with the prior year, threw more times, and so he had a few more yards. But it was an inconsistent passing game. So will I give it a letter grade? No. But what I would say is, if we want to win the American Athletic Conference, particularly with the 3 teams that are leaving still in, to get into that upper echelon, even if we're a run-based team, we have to pass the ball better. We didn't pass at a conference championship level nearly enough this year. There were very few games where you felt really good about the passing game. I think the Oklahoma game is one that was a good performance in that regard. There were a couple others that were decent, but for the most part, that was it was a league average at best, maybe below average passing game. So for the quarterback, I would say he probably expected better, and I can give you my novice opinion on that. I mean, I thought that at times he was really bothered by the pressure. No one is tougher at that position than Michael Pratt. He has a lot of physical toughness, but I think he was affected by it. I think there were a lot of times where Michael, as Coach Fritz said, was banged up, and so that affected his ability to get downfield with some of his throws. I think his receivers not getting open as consistently as we would have liked, whether that be by play call, talent level, opponent talent level, whatever the reason, we didn't see enough there. And so, the results spoke for themselves. We were not a good third down team. Third and long was perilous because we didn't protect for very long periods of time, and in obvious pass situations, we struggled. We're very inefficient in those situations as a passing team. Moving on, let's stay in the passing game. The receiving group was strictly wide receivers. We saw in 2020 a team that we saw the emergence of 2 guys, Deuce Watts and Jaquan Jackson, we thought would take a step forward again. Unfortunately, those guys actually sort of took a step backwards in terms of production. A lot of that was injury related. Both Jaquan and Deuce missed a lot of time this year. But we saw other guys in the mix kind of replace that production. Shea Wyatt proved to be a pretty nice transfer. He led the team in receptions. But overall, we just, out of the receiving group, we didn't get sort of the performance that you see the conference championship teams getting in this league. The guys who can just run fast and jump higher and come down with contested catches in tough spots, we didn't really get that enough. And so we need to improve there, whether it be the guys on the roster, the guys coming in, but we need improvement at that position. Again, I'd say league probably below league average performance among that position group. I think in the passing game, we were above league average at the tight end position. There were some critical drops here and there, but for the most part, Tariq James in particular proved to be a nice weapon in the pass game. I hope to see that continue with a new offensive coordinator next year. We know Coach Long was good with tight ends and found ways to get him open. He's a weapon. They're also good in the run game in terms of run blocking. Will Wallace in particular is a very good run blocker. We saw good blocking on the edge from the tight ends. I'd say that the tight ends were above league average for our group. Offensive line, so pass block, run block, the whole deal. We saw improvement down the stretch. I think, though, they limited our abilities on offense from the standpoint that we had to game script around them. There was a recurring theme after the games that we have to realize we need to get the ball out quickly. That's an indication that we didn't feel very good about our ability to hold up for long pass protection. And I think that was the biggest weakness of our offensive line. But nonetheless, we have to get much better in pass protection in order to compete for a conference championship. We really weren't close there. Now, there's reasons for some of that. We were young on the right side of the offensive line. I think those guys will get better. The veterans on the left side, it appeared, even though there's nothing official, they played through a lot of injury. We saw them as they sort of got a little healthier down the stretch perform better. But Joey Claybrook, was a good tackle for a long time at Tulane, Corey Dublin, a good guard for a long time at Tulane, struggled at times this year. And we need to see better at those positions next year. Running backs, I think the strength of our team could have been better, though. Tyjae, I love Tyjae. Once he became healthy, he was a huge difference maker in the backfield. I can't really say we needed anything more from him other than wishing he was healthier early in the year. He's one of the best running backs in this league, easily a top 3-4 talent at that position in the American Athletic Conference. Cam Carroll had an uneven year. His production dropped in terms of efficiency. He's a big physical specimen. He has the potential to be a really good player. Again, for us next year, we have other guys coming in, but Cam didn't have the best season. He didn't. I don't want to say he took a step back, but he didn't progress maybe at the level we would have liked to have seen. And I'm sure he'll take that challenge and come hard next year. YG Booker struggled with injuries. He really popped in the Ole Miss game, UAB game. He showed some stuff to us, but he just wasn't around long enough to have a lasting impact. But I would say our running back group overall is the least of our concerns, particularly with Clayton coming in, Ivan Celestian going to get more reps in the future. There are other running backs coming in as well in this recruiting class. That's a really good group. Not worried about that. That's a group that right now you could compete for a conference championship with that group. And so I think that covers all of the offense. I will say, though, so that's the individual assessment of the groups. The one last comment, though, is the huge drop in running production. One of the big changes, other than turnover margin, was how much we lost in terms of yards per game on the ground. I don't think it's necessarily a position group by position group thing. I can't say that, the running backs were not as good. The offensive line was not a good. I think a lot of that had to do with philosophy and the way we called games. I think we got more committed to the running game late, and our yards per game, yards per carry both increased greatly down the stretch of the season. Some of that had a lot to do with the opponents. When you're playing Oklahoma and Ole Miss and some of those guys, you're not going to just run it into their teeth when they're more physical than you are. But there were other games in there that we should have been able to run the ball. We didn't seem to commit to it, and we struggled. Again, that was a big thing, but I don't necessarily say that's on the players as much as that was an overall offensive thing. Quickly covering special teams, Merrick Glover is going to finish his career as one of the leading scorers in school history. A lot of that has to do with a number of touchdowns he scored. He was, he was okay. Missed a big kick against Tulsa. Obviously, that mattered. We would have won that game. But no need to rehash that. He made a number of good kicks for us. Kickoff game, really good. Casey Glover has a strong leg. Apparently, he's the nation's best onside kicker. No one can compete with the percentage of onside kicks we managed to recover this year. Like to have his strong leg back next year. He may be the punter next year. Kickoff, both in terms of the kickoffs and the coverage, were sufficient. They were fine. I thought all of our coverage units were okay. We lost something in the return game. Jaquan was a much more dynamic returner in 2020. Those hidden yards we missed this year, we did not seem to pop off in the return game. And we turned the ball over in the return game, a couple times. And you should never turn the ball over in the return game. That hurt. Punter, Ryan Wright was the best punter in the league. He'll get a chance to play on Sundays. He did a great job for us this year. On defense, again, here if you look just at the raw numbers, you don't see a huge change from 2020 to 2021. Sacks were about the same level. I guess opponents ran the ball. Let's see. Opponents ran the ball a little better against us, but 143 a game to 166. They passed it 271 to 278. So, all of that ended up being pretty similar from year to year. So it was 278, almost 280 yards passing in 2020 against us. Better teams, better offenses playing this year, passed for 271 a game. So, and in the running game, like I said, they ran for 4.1 yards a carry. Well, this year, only 3.4 last year. That could be attributed, again, to talent level of the opponent. But we gave up too many points. But what's that tell you? Well, if, our defense, I think, if you look at it a point per play basis, we're giving up more points per play, yet our yardages and efficiency numbers are about the same. That seems to suggest that we were giving up too many plays in high leverage situations, plays where they could score more easly as a result of turnovers, as a result of ineffective offense. Our defense was just put in situations to give up more points, and it was reflected in the scores. They gave up more points this year than in previous years, and by a tune of about 70 more points this season they gave up. And so, looking at the position groups, obviously, and by the way, a points per play of defense of 99, that's not going to win you leagues. It's not good enough. On the bright side, Coach Hampton is a guy who, and we saw down the stretch, even against some good opponents, we saw the defense get better and better and better for the most part as the season went on. I thought it took a little step back in terms of tackling against Memphis, but in the last game of the season, but for the most part, the defense was a much better unit in the second half of the season after being a really poor unit early in the season. Position groups, I tend to look at the rush linebackers as part of the defensive line, looking at that group, the joker position, along with the defensive linemen. Really slow start to the year in terms of stopping the run. Really good effort towards the end of the year, stopping the run. Darius Hodges came on late. Darius did a really good job making explosive plays in the backfield, lots of tackles for losses. That was good for us. I thought the pass rush overall, though, the edge rush wasn't what it needed to be for us to really succeed at a high level. Opponents could line up and felt good about their ability to sit back in the pocket, pat the ball, and let guys get deep on third and long situations because we didn't have nearly the edge threat that we've had in previous years. Guys up the middle, Jeffrey Johnson was a little bit more impactful in the pass rush game. Adonis Freelu came along towards the end of the year after being kind of quiet early. Eric Hicks was a really good player coming along at the end of 2020. Didn't see much out of him this year, probably injury related. I don't know everything. Noah Seiden did a good job inside. JoJo Dorsey did okay for us as well. But overall, I thought, I expected more from that group up front than we got. And it needs to be better there. The next group, I would say the off-ball linebackers, the four guys that we saw all for the last 2 years: Nick Anderson, Dorian Williams, Marvin Moody, and Kevin Henry. That group is an above-average group. We had one of the best sets of off-ball linebackers in the league. Once again, that is clearly our best unit on defense, and we have most of those guys. We have Dorian and Nick returning, the two guys who played the most, and then some young guys stepping in there. I have very few concerns about the off-ball group. I think they're good in all three things you ask them to do. They're good at in coverage, they're good against the run, and they're good blitzing. Feel very good about that group. Their performance this year, I thought we missed Nick when he was gone, but having Nick Anderson come back made a difference. That's a really good group. Defensive backs, including the nickel. Let's start with cornerbacks. Jaden Kennedy was one of the best freshman defensive backs in the country per PFF and by the eyeball test. He was in really, really good find, really good cornerback. It falls off after that. Jalen Monroe, like most of his career, Jalen had the feet and sort of brain to be in the right place at the right time a lot of the times. Jalen often found himself in the right spot because he did everything right. Jalen was just not blessed with sort of the prototypical size that you would look for at that position. And at times opponents took advantage of that because we played a number of very, very good quarterbacks with very, very good receivers. And so he struggled at times with that. Johnny Curry ended up having a pretty decent year after causes some skepticism, at least with me, whether he could do it. I thought he came on and played pretty well down the stretch there. Overall, though, I do, and Robinson's there. We've got a couple other guys. Overall, our cornerback, our ability to cover both in man and zone needs to improve a lot to win a conference championship. That group, and frankly, it seems to be where we've struggled to have the depth at that group throughout Coach Fritz's tenure. And to be fair, in every tenure going back to when I was playing, I mean, we just have not had a big group of really talented defensive backs very often. 2013 season with Coach Johnson may be an exception off the top of my head. We've had one or two guys a number of times. We had that run with Parry and Lorenzo Dawson and all those guys. We just never had a big group, and there was always sort of one weak spot. It only takes one weak spot to take advantage of a secondary. Finally, the safeties. Our safeties made a number of impactful plays. They're physical guys. They understand position. Some lapses in zone coverage early in the season that seemed to get better with time. The biggest recurring issue, though, I saw with them is that we just took bad angles a lot of times in the run after catch situations and running back situations where they're the last line of defense to take a bad angle and allowed a long play to occur when it could have been prevented with a better angle. I've never played defensive back. I'm a very slow person. And so, I'm not saying I could do it, but I can tell you what I've seen and having watched thousands and thousands of hours of football, I think that needs to improve. But, that is something that's correctable. It's something that's taught. It's something that's coached. It's something that I know we put a lot of emphasis on, and I expect that to improve. I'd say, though, that safety play overall was probably league average, maybe a slightly above average when you take into account the number of interceptions and fumble recoveries and such that they put out there. So, Matt, that is a very long-winded answer to your question. I promise you folks out there, although the answers won't be that long, but when you ask me for a grade on every position group, I feel like I need to go through and cover every position group. And so that's what I did. And I hope you find that to be helpful and probably in line, knowing you, Matt, specifically, probably pretty much in line with your opinion of each one. So thank you, folks, for tuning in. That's going to do it for this episode of the Jimmy O Show. We will be back with you next week. Look, I I ask that you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That helps us. That helps get visibility out there. That helps support our cause here, which is to promote the visibility of these great Tulane student athletes. Go ahead and subscribe on your favorite podcast feed, whether it be iTunes, Stitcher, or Spotify, or any other service you get it on. All of this will be up shortly, and you will have that opportunity. And look, if you think I talk too much, if you think I ask stupid questions, go ahead and leave that in the comments, but give it a 5-star review. That helps us as well. So thank you, folks. I appreciate you tuning in. And until next time, this is Jimmy O signing off.